this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm Big Al. The empty screen is Professor, as always. There he is.
Yeah, I'm
Busy
here.
day for him. And joining us.
Mother's Day chaos.
Joining us, Professor. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, all you mothers out there. And my mother especially, happy Mother's Day. But joining us, folks, is the brand new SWA Deep South champion, Professor Hillbilly Joe. Fresh off that win right there. Look at that. Look at that beautiful belt there. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that match. Who was your opponent? How did it go? How many fans? That kind of stuff. How'd the night go?
Well, we had a packed house last night. We had around 700 there.
Oh,
Nice.
And this started back probably January. There was a World Rumble, and the winner of the World Rumble will become the number one contender for the Deep South Championship belt. Well, I survived and I won it.
okay.
So Pharaoh of Funk, he was the Deep South champion at the time. So we had several matches after the World Rumble up to last night. And every match that me and him was in, he ran from me. Well, I got tired of him running. So I got my own gimmick match that I do from time to time, and I haven't did one of those gimmick matches in a while, and I thought it was the best opportunity to bring this gimmick match up, so he was guaranteed that he wasn't going to run from me. And that was a bull rope match.
Oh, all right.
And, of course, I had to forcefully put the other end on him last night. Because he wanted to chicken out, and he was going to run. He was going to run last night, but I stopped him. I jumped out of the ring as soon as he did, and then he was jawing and got distracted and thought he can take on all of Hillbilly University that was there. And he kind of backed up into me and didn't realize I was standing there, and I grabbed him. I threw him in the ring. I held him down till the referee put the other end of the rope. Put the end of the rope on me, bell rung, and he couldn't go anywhere.
I love Southern style wrestling.
I know.
I know I shouldn't condone dirty tactics, but you know what? If I was him, I would run too, especially in a bull rope match. There is no way on God's green earth I want you in a bull rope match. No.
Seriously, I hope we meet Hillbilly in person, Professor, because fans can't see how big he really is on his screen there. He is damn near 7 feet tall. He's a monster, this guy.
And I don't know, maybe 5'6", 5'7", maybe. Somewhere around in there. But he had a big mouth, and I had to shut it for him. And see, I came up with a new, I added some new things to me since the last time I was there. I now came out with Hillbilly University, and which that is all the fans out there, and
all your supporters,
all of them. And now they call me the Dean of
The
Hillbilly
Dean of
University.
Hillbilly University. I love it.
And I also got, I don't know if you can see it too good, but I got the Dean's list right here. So
All right.
everybody that I beat has made the Dean's list.
Oh,
And I
boy.
added Pharaoh on there this morning. I added him on there this morning when I did a promo about thanking all my fans and everything for last night and all the support. And I did. I had to add Pharaoh Funk to it and to that. But yeah, I mean, everything's been good. You know, last time I was on here, this time last year, I
Yeah.
just lost the SWA heavyweight belt,
That's
Mhm.
right.
and then I've been working my way back up to the top, and I'm one closer step now. We're back to the top. I mean, that's the Deep South Championship belt. I mean, that's a big belt for the South down here, and I'm the third person to hold this title at SWA.
How about that?
Wow.
And yeah, and fans, you can have you still have access to old SWA matches on Fight TV, right? Right, Hillbilly?
Now, well, there's still some old matches on Fight TV. Now they're doing everything on YouTube. There's
Okay.
actually brand new matches on YouTube now.
Oh, cool. What's that channel?
It's SWA. I want to say it's SWA promotion, and they put all new programming, all new matches up every Thursday night.
Oh, nice. So we'll be able to see that Deep South Championship bull rope match.
Yes, that will be seen. I think they got it going up around maybe end of June, somewhere around in there.
Okay, so they're a couple weeks behind, right?
Yeah, it's a couple of weeks behind. They're almost close because they just started doing the YouTube.
Yes.
And so they're catching up everybody so they can follow up, because last night we was at a high school, and we do a lot of fundraisers for high schools and stuff like
Sure.
that, churches and all that. That's where we do most of our stuff. And this was for the football program there last night. And this was our WrestleMania.
Oh, neat.
We had Hall of Fame inductees last night. So every year at this time would be our WrestleMania. That's what we consider our WrestleMania. And so every year they're going to do Hall of Fame inductees and everything. So it was a big night. It was a big night. Then one of my buddies last night, of course, he retained his heavyweight championship belt last night. Now, we just didn't have just the bull rope match. We had 2 steel cage matches last night.
Oh, boy.
And that was a good one. That was good, which my buddy Dalton Delk, he was involved in one of the steel cage matches, and then the management of SWA went against the rebellions of SWA, and that was set up as a war games, but in a steel cage match.
Nice.
So all that eventually will be put on YouTube, where you can see everything. But last night was a big night. It was great.
I'm gonna be watching that. All right, we got some comments for you here. We got, hey guys, Chris is in Darlington, Professor, at the race.
At the
At the Darlington racetrack. He's watching the race. David Hill, what's up, David? Always good to see you, buddy. Good evening. It's going to be a great SWO show next Saturday. Yes, sir, it is.
Well,
absolutely. It's gonna be May at the SWO in Seven Valleys. Absolutely. And our old friend David Motorman's here. It's great to gather around the turnbuckle this Mother's Day evening to catch up with the great champion, Hillbilly Joe.
Thank you for that.
There it is.
Appreciate that.
And I can confirm, I looked it up on YouTube real quick. SWA Promotions will take you to their YouTube channel.
There
as
it
you
is.
type in and say SWA Promotions Wrestling, just click that. It'll take you right to a channel. All sorts of matches popped up. I saw stuff as far back as 2017.
How about that?
On there. Of course, you guys' main show came up, the newest episode of that I saw. So yeah, it's there, guys. Check it out. Like we always say, give something that you may not have thought of a chance. Support independent wrestling, whether you can get there. I mean, and that's what I love about YouTube, because YouTube allows people to get exposed to products that could be halfway across the country that maybe otherwise they would never know about. They would never be able to get there or buy a ticket. And hopefully it does inspire people to say, you know what, I'm going to make a road trip. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to support that promotion.
See what I love about what we do. There's a lot of people out there that is wrestling fans.
Yeah.
They, but yet they may not have the funds to go to WrestleMania. That they may not have the funds to go to SummerSlam or attend a SmackDown Live or Raw Live.
Right.
But we tried to push that you don't really necessarily have to go there to get great entertainment. You don't have to go there to get great wrestling, because independent wrestling, that's where it all starts. And then just like John Cena, Kevin Owens, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, I mean, all them started in independent wrestling, and they worked their way up.
Yep.
Now, if you're in the Mississippi area, general admission is $10, floor seats $15.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to a movie these days for
not
that
anymore.
Nope. I mean, especially if you have if you have kids and you take your kids and your wife, just your tickets by themselves is going to be
like $100
bucks. Yep. And then you're going to have to pay $15, $20 for popcorn, Cokes, candy, and all that. So, and our stuff is fundraisers for schools, for high schools, for nonprofit organizations and stuff like that. That's what we do down here with SWA. Every once in a while, we may just throw a house show just for us, but majority of it, I say probably 99% of it is fundraisers for schools, for some churches and stuff like that.
And with independent wrestling, everywhere, whether it's Mississippi, whether it's Pennsylvania, the same thing is true. The fans can be part of the show.
Oh yeah,
right. They can take over the show. They with their chants, with their interactions with the wrestlers. You can't do that at WWE.
No,
just please don't take over the show like the show was taken over yesterday. The one we were at.
That was insane. That was absolutely insane.
We had some unruly fans come down out of the bleachers
and attack
the kids, and nobody was hurt, but they attacked one of the wrestlers.
They attacked one of the wrestlers, the guy who the most hated guy in the company. They pretty much. So yeah, I don't mean that intimate, but I'm just saying, like, you get to meet the wrestlers. A lot of times, more times than not, there's an intermission or there's somewhere where you can interact with the wrestlers, get your picture with them, get your autograph, maybe buy some of their T-shirts or something. But if you're supporting pro wrestling, like you said, a lot of times you're supporting good causes as well as just the art. And you have, just as good a time, if not a better time, going to that event. Because, I've taken my kids to WWE where we sat up in the upper deck somewhere, and because we didn't want to spend a lot of money on tickets, and and we enjoyed ourselves. But man, I've also taken them to independent wrestling where, like, my daughters, man, they have a blast to our local promotions here in Pennsylvania, like 3WA. And we had a show last night, Hillbilly, you wouldn't believe. We were in a middle school where there might have been 300 people there, but I tell you what, it sounded like a lot more because the acoustics in a high school. You wrestle in high schools, man. It sounds a lot louder than that, and they were into it. They were having a great time. Everybody was having a great time, and like Keith said, man, it got a little chaotic there in one of the matches, but security and referees kind of made got everybody back where they should be, but again, there's nothing like going to an independent wrestling show, whether it's Pennsylvania or Mississippi. You have a good time.
Good time, great
And,
causes, and like Joe said, maybe you're seeing the stars of the future. Maybe somebody you see at your local independent show is going to be in TNA. It's going to be on AEW. It's going to be in WWE one day. That's the proving ground where folks learn and folks get to where they can get to that next level.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking WWE, AEW, or anything like that. I was just, putting that out there because I know y'all got a lot of listeners, and there's probably a lot of listeners that listens that really hasn't went to an independent show because they be thinking, oh, it's going to be cheesy or it's going to be cheap or we're not going to get this good quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have some that's not going to be good quality. You're going to have some that's going to be medium quality. I mean, just go to a show. Well, let me take this back because Robert Gibson don't like people calling it a show. It's an event. But if you go to an independent, if you have access and you're in an area that does offer independent, go to one of those shows. And I'm not just pushing it over because I'm an independent wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Go to it. That's where everybody gets their start.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you got people like Cody Rhodes. His daddy was Dusty Rhodes. You got, all these other wrestlers, Randy Orton.
Yeah, you have generational talent. Yeah, there is some of that.
Just because their dad was in there, they was an independent wrestler too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Randy was in OVW. Was in OVW.
That generation, their fathers were very, very strict and very specific about you will not get breaks. I will not send you to WWE to learn. You're going to learn the way I learned, and you're going to pay your dues, and you're going to, work these smaller shows and whatnot and learn how to do this properly.
And, no disrespect intended, but like Randy Orton also made himself a star. I mean, he has far surpassed his father's, legendary career, Cowboy Bob Orton, all the championships he's won, all the main events he's done over the past 20 years. He's had an amazing run compared to his father, whereas that's not always the case.
He's going to be a guy that's going to headline a Hall of Fame class, and no offense to his father or his grandfather, but I can't think of a Hall of Fame class that anybody's going to be banging down the doors to have either one of them headline. So, I mean, Randy is easily the most successful member of his family to get into the wrestling business.
Yeah. And like we said, he started just where everybody else did in independent wrestling, and he worked his way up.
Yep.
I mean, look how long it took Cody Rhodes to get to where he's at now.
Yeah.
And everybody, when Cody broke out in WWE, oh, he's fixing to be handed to him because he's a Rhodes. Right. I mean, you look at. I mean, we'll go as far as the Samoan dynasty.
Yeah.
Look how long it took everybody to get to where they was at.
Yep.
They weren't handed nothing.
You can go back to the Stu Hart eras. Look how long it took Bret Hart and all them to get to where they're at. Everything in this business is not handed to you.
Yep.
No.
I mean, they were in Stampede. The Hitman was in Stampede when he was a teenager all the way up to, the mid-20s.
Yeah.
As far as his age go. And then when he comes to WWE, Vince didn't, automatically say, oh, you're a Hart or you're going to be my world champion. No, he's had to pay his dues. He was tag team champion with the Anvil. Yeah. And then he had to
Land of the Giants at that point. He was almost lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. And then you can go back as far as Mark Calloway. I mean, he got pretty much fired from WWC because they told him that he's not going to be a draw. I mean, how many names did he go through before he actually got his name, The Undertaker? I mean, when he was in Memphis, look how long it took him.
Yep.
I mean, there's some people that would get it quicker than others, but back in them days, you wasn't handed anything.
Right.
No.
Now, some of the older guys that have been wrestling for 20, 25 years that we have talked in the locker room and all that, he said wrestling is really different these days than it was back in when we first started, when we first
Right.
broke out. I mean, when I first started, everybody asked me, how long did I train? How long did I train? I had 8 months training before I had my first match. But I says, but I don't go off of that. Because I tell them, I said, I'm still in training because every time I get in that ring, I'm learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning something new from other wrestlers that I wrestle because they wrestle different than the last person I wrestled. I'm always learning something. I'm always learning something new. I'm never going to be completed training.
Is there anybody in SWA? We were talking about how, stars have moved through the indies. Is there anybody in SWA right now? You look at that guy and he's young and he's hungry and maybe he's got aspirations to do this for a living as far as like getting on TV goes.
Yeah, there's a few of them that I would sit there and say that they, if they keep on going, they're a tag team faction. They're called the Varsities. It's Hunter Rose, Braden Hosey, and Noah Hosey. They really have the potential if they pursue it and keep going. That there's a possibility that you will see them in, TNA or
AEW.
Yeah, all places like that. AEW. They have that about them that, hey, I see that in them.
That it factor. That
Yes.
just undefinable something. You can't describe it, but when you see it, you know.
Yes. They're young and they're talented. They're getting better and better. They broke out probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, somewhere around in there. And every time I see them get better and better and better and every time they get in that ring.
And isn't that the greatest, watching guys improve like that? I get to do it same as you. I mean, different perspective than you. I'm not in the ring. I'm sitting, over at whatever commentary table we have set up. But I mean, it's the biggest thrill in the world. And I'm watching a couple of guys now in 3WA. There's some guys in SWO where I'm really seeing them start to either it's their in-ring skills get better every time I see them, or maybe they're getting better at promos, or maybe they're being given a chance to show more personality or show a different side of their personality, and they're hitting it out of the park when they do it. I mean, how good a feeling is that to see somebody doing those things, finding themselves, getting better, really finding their niche in this business?
Oh, it's a great feeling because that lets me know that this business has a future, and they're going to be the next one to carry this on for another 20 years. Because if you get these, if you don't have these guys that come in here and try to put the fire into them, get them prove themselves, get them to get better, then the wrestling business would die.
Right.
And it's like I tell I've been doing this for 5 years now. I had a very late start in this business.
Right.
And I didn't let that discourage me of going out there and improving. I was like, hey, if DDP was able to do it, why can't I?
Sure.
Why can't I have a decent, successful run at this at a late age, just like DDP can? And although I haven't been doing it as long as a lot of people that's in SWA or wrestling anywhere else, I'm in it. This past April made 5 years for me. And anytime I go after a match, I will go to our general manager, or I'll go to our matchmaker, or I'll go to some of the veterans and, some of the baby veterans that we got in our locker room. And I was like, did you happen to see my match? He said, yeah, I did. All right. anything I needed to do different? Did you see anything that I did wrong? I want to correct it. So when the next time I get in the ring, hey, I messed up on this. I'm not gonna mess up on it this time. Or did I do this move and it didn't look good? I won't do it no more. Because I don't want to be out there embarrassing any promotion I go to. I don't want to go out there and embarrass them or anybody. Like if I came down there to wrestle with one of y'all's promotion and you pushed me, you got me in there, and then they'd be like, hey, you said he was a good wrestler and he come down here and he bummed it out. I don't want to be that guy that'd be like, hey, that if you go back to the promoter and say, hey, we got this other way, you sent this other guy down there and he was trash. I don't know. I don't want to be that kind of guy. I don't want to be that kind of wrestler. I want to be that wrestler where they can be like, hey, you did a great job, but you did this move. It's not really fitting for a nearly 7-foot guy to do. Hey, no problem. I won't do it again. But I mean, I love it. I love it. I mean, I get asked the questions all the time. How much longer are you going to do it? You're getting up there in age. Right now, I didn't do a whole lot in that match. And when I wrestle, I don't do a whole lot because I'm a big guy. I don't have to.
Right, you don't have to.
But last night, I did it. I did a little, punch, couple of punches and a couple of this and all that. But that still takes a wear out on you. You're not a spring chicken. I was sore as all I could get out, like I got hit by a Mack truck when I got up this morning. And it takes a lot out on you.
There's a local guy here that wrestles. He's 62.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really good conversation with him today, the day after his show. He wrestled yesterday at the show that Keith and I were at. And I won't say his name just because, but Keith knows who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But he pretty much just said exactly what you just said. That there comes a point when you get to a certain age. And listen, this guy does not look 60. You look at him, most people guess that he's about 50. Because he does that. He's in great shape. He does not look 62 years old, but his body's telling him, you got to stop doing this soon. And there comes a point where, you get to that point for you. You just said that you felt like you got hit by a Mack truck the day after.
Yeah.
Are you concerned that, the longer you do this, like that, those day afters are going to get worse?
I think a lot of mine is I'm just not in there enough. Like I don't do it constantly enough for my body to get used to it and be like, okay, this is what it is. We do now. I'm doing about maybe 2 to 3 shows a month.
Okay.
And they're spread it out, so I have enough time to have a little rest. But right now, I don't think that's going to be. Right now, that's not crossing my mind. Right now,
Good.
I'm still a young buck though, but I just turned 42 back in January.
All right.
And then everybody still asks me, do you have a number? I says, right now, if I can make it 8 more years
to 50,
and then I'll see how I'm taking this when I hit 50. And if I'm still feeling like I am now at 50, I'll set my number up to 55. And then if I'm still doing good and
oh boy,
do it, I'll be like, okay, we'll move it to 60.
It sounds like you're gonna do this till the wheels fall off. I mean, to be honest with you, like
That's most people though. I mean, you're in it, Al. You're with me every month, either doing commentary or doing the ring announcement and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's not physical for us. We probably don't have to worry about that. We would just, keel over at the announce table or something and be fine. But, I certainly feel like I can understand a fraction of what Joe and the actual in-ring workers feel of like, performing is a drug. Performing is so addictive, and to get that reaction from a crowd, to be able to help them lose themselves in what we're doing, the story we're telling, you don't ever want to give that up. You don't ever want to give that feeling away or give that back. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to, my body's going to have to tell me, or somebody's going to have to tell me, like, you can't do this anymore, because if it's up to me, I'm probably doing it forever. I'll probably die at the announce table.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like Professor, to your point, getting a reaction from the fans when I'm ring announcing is addictive. It's very addictive. Yeah. Like just me saying, "Hey, who's having a good time tonight?" and I get a reaction out of that. That I get chills up and down my spine when I'm standing in the ring, and when I do that, and every day is a thrill. Every day that you and I do that, like these shows at SWO or 3WA, and whether I'm sitting next to you calling the matches or whether I'm up in the ring announcing, it's an ultimate thrill. It's really good, and it just, you're right, it's addictive.
Yeah.
I don't think you and I are gonna ever leave unless they tell us not to come anymore.
Yeah. I mean, again, I imagine that's got to be magnified times, 100 when you're the guy in the ring. We're just the support staff. We're trying to help you get it over, but you guys you're the artists. You're the ones that are painting that picture, and we're just trying to interpret it and say, like, this is why you're looking at a masterpiece right here, but you guys are the ones that are actually out there, conducting the orchestra, painting the picture, whatever analogy you want to use. So, I mean, I got to imagine whatever we feel, you guys are feeling that, times 100. So I certainly get it. I always kind of understood it as a fan, the thought process based on what the guys would say about it's addictive. It's like a drug. You don't ever want to give it up. But now that I've had a taste of it, it's like, yeah, you don't ever want to give this up unless you absolutely positively have to.
Right.
So yeah, you are going to probably make those deals with yourself about, let's see where it is.
50, 55.
55, and just I mean, I know like Al just said, we know folks in their 60s that are starting to say, like, yeah, I gotta think about stopping, but that's what they're not saying I'm gonna stop in a year, or I'm gonna stop in 6 months. It's always, I gotta think about it. I know it's soon, but it's not today.
Right.
I mean, I really, really haven't put a timeline on it. I really didn't.
Yeah.
But one day, me and the owner of SWA was talking, and I told him, I said, if I can get 8 more years going strong, 8 more years, and that will put me at 50. And then when I hit 50, if I'm still able, and no problems, no kind of health problems or anything like that, I may slow it down to part-time. But and I say that and knowing when I hit 50, and if I'm still going good, I'm going to be hitting it just like I am now.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's going to be pretty much, well, either my kids, my wife, or somebody comes up to me and say, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. And it's not because we're idiots or we don't know what we're thinking. We're dumb. It's the love of it. Mm-hmm. It's the love of wrestling. It's the love for the fans and everything. If the fans really know what we put ourselves through
Yeah.
to go out there for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes in a match
Mm-hmm.
to get y'all's reactions, to make y'all feel good, to make y'all, because you never know what these fans, they could be having a bad day. They can be having,
Yeah.
They could have lost their job or some loved ones or something passed away, and they come there and they can let off steam.
Yep.
They can yell and scream at any wrestler that walks out there, and they forget about all their problems for the 2 hours, 2.5 hours as the event goes on. They forget about it. They're actually being their self. They're letting yelling out at the heels or cheering for the babies. That's what I get enjoyment out of. That's what I love.
I call it subliminal therapy. They don't even realize that they're in a therapy session where they get taken away from reality for a couple of hours into a world where they get to yell and scream and boo and cheer and tell people to go fly a kite or whatever they want to do.
And
Scream.
it just don't stop when the event's over with and they get in their car, because they get in their car and they're driving to go get something to eat, or they're driving home and they're sitting there talking about oh, did you see what he did? He did this.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so wrong. I don't know why they did it. It don't stop there. The reality don't hit them until the next morning when they wake up. It's like, oh, now I got to go deal with this. But I did enjoy. At least I had enjoyment. At least I got to let off some steam.
That's what it is, man. I mean, Keith and I were at a show last night. We are at another show this Saturday.
And we got a show next weekend.
And we got a show the following week. I mean, things have been really crazy for he and I, which is great. I love it. It went from once a month to twice a month to every couple of weeks now. It's nuts.
Yeah, April, I think we were every weekend in April. We had something. Just about every weekend in May we have something, and it's fun. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of miles, but it's worth it.
It's awesome. And and Hillbilly, did you speaking of April, did you catch WrestleMania?
I did catch WrestleMania.
What did you think?
I liked it. I definitely liked Cody Rhodes, finished the story. I was waiting for the Shatter Dreams theme to hit. I was.
Yeah, I thought so too.
You thought you'd get some gold dust in there, huh?
Yeah, I really was. I was like, man, that would make it so good. Even if he didn't come out, just have the theme hit.
The tease.
And then, I was sitting there. I mean, I watched it on TikTok. I watched the just the way they was doing it all. I thought I was going to hear the glass shatter.
You're right.
But then instead, my number one guy, The Undertaker, came out.
Right.
And
they lost their minds.
Yes. I loved it. And my other favorite guy, I'm glad he finally got his WrestleMania moment, R-Truth.
Yep.
I'm glad he got it.
He deserved it.
Tag team champions.
I mean, I'm glad he finally got his moment. And I mean, that was just Sami Zayn, got his moment there. I mean, it was good. I liked it.
So one of the stars that we was on the show that we were at last night, Hillbilly, is here. And his name is the Roadblock, Chad McCoy. He says, how's it going, guys? Great Triple WA show, except for the heavyweight championship match, which he was the challenger in. Roadblock got screwed, and Cody Rose, not Cody Rhodes. His feet were on the ropes. There was a wrestler there named Cody Rose, Rose.
Yeah, somebody's got to change their name soon because I keep.
And it's not going to be the American Nightmare.
No,
Yeah.
it's really not. So sorry, Cody Rose. You have to think of something else.
But yes, he had his feet on the ropes for a cheap win. So hopefully the roadblock gets
did.
back at him. Great
Don't
show
give
last
up.
night.
Keep going. Keep going. Chase it. Give up.
Yeah.
Because this guy
I
right
have
here
heard it's under review with the championship committee.
And then I finally got him.
But yeah, you are. You know what? You are still a young buck. You know, I feel obligated to tell everybody I'm the oldest guy in the room right now.
Yeah, you are actually.
But yes. So yes, Roadblock, go get him, brother. But anyway, so WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes finishes the story. Was there any other match? You said R-Truth. Was there any other matches that kind of stuck out to you as pretty good matches, or that you felt was very entertaining?
Let's see. The Deep South, the Hillbilly winning the Deep South title.
And a bull rope match.
Let's see. I don't forgot most of it.
well, I mean, like, I thought Rhea Ripley versus Becky was pretty good.
I thought that was good. Both the ladies' titles matches were great.
Yeah, that was good. I thought the triple threat match with Randy Orton and
Kevin Owens and Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. I thought that would have. I really thought Kevin Owens was going to pull it out. I really did.
Sure.
But that was okay. Like I said, Becky Lynch and them was, and Rhea Ripley was good. I'm a fan of Ripley. She's good.
So Chad's back. He says, "Thanks for the kind words, Hillbilly. This old man's got a little fuel in the tank at 62. This guy here, Roadblock, is 62.
Keep going. Keep getting them.
Yeah. And like I said before, he does not look 62 years old. He is, if you look at you first meet him, he's in excellent shape. He's actually lost the first time Keith and I laid eyes on him was 4 years ago. He's actually lost a lot of weight. He's gotten more cut up. And that's made him even more dangerous because he's still just as strong as he was, but quicker. And so, he's a devastating force. I mean, he's one of the most popular guys in 3WA.
That's cool.
By far. So
said it was Cody Rose that cheated.
That's their current champion is a guy named Rose Gold, Cody Rose.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Roadblock, you take your name that you said, your name is Roadblock. You take that and you be the Roadblock for that championship belt. It stops right there with you.
There it is.
Go get it. You go get it.
And hopefully he gets his chance because we have our WrestleMania. You talked about WrestleMania, your WrestleMania. Yeah. 3WA's WrestleMania is coming up on May the 25th. That's next Saturday. And that's their big 43rd anniversary show.
Yep.
So they've been in business for 43 years, which is as long as you've been alive, Hillbilly Joe.
Yeah.
The oldest independent promotion operating in the United States today.
How about that? Yep. So, yeah, we are proud to be part of that nowadays, part of that legacy. And again, and speaking of anniversaries, Professor and I have an anniversary coming up too, Hillbilly. And that is, we had our first Around the Turnbuckle show in May of 2020.
Hey, congratulations.
So we're 4 years old this month, and we're proud of that. And we didn't think for in a million years it would lead to the Professor and I getting to do commentary or me doing ring announcing, but it has organically. We didn't ask for it. It just kind of happened organically because of our love for the business, our passion for the business, impressed those who do it all the time, who love it just as much as we do. And we made friends. And
I honestly
happy.
thought we'd be lucky to sustain interest for a year. I'm not going to lie. I really thought after a year we'd all get bored and be like, okay, we're done. And, thankfully things worked out the way they worked out.
Yep.
We're still here and
we're still growing.
To good people like you.
And speaking of that,
every Sunday.
And speaking of that, Hillbilly, I want to make this promise to you. You talked earlier about going maybe 8 years, going maybe to 55, which would be, more than 13 years, whatever. However many years you have left in the tank, we want you back on here at least once a year to catch up with us and see where you're at nowadays and see what's up in SWA, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
So at least once a year, we want Hillbilly Joe on Around the Turnbuckle to catch up with you.
And I enjoy coming on here.
We love having you, because we love hearing about, Keith and I are old school fans. We love that Southern style wrestling. It's in some independent feds up here in the North, it's kind of been forgotten. And that's only because, it's a lot of young, new talent that are brought up on different styles that maybe you or I were brought up when we were young. Down there in the South, a lot of those feds keep it going. We know a guy in Alabama named Thundercat who's got a promotion there who kind of keeps that old school mentality of wrestling in there. It's not all tricks and it's not all gymnastics and flying through tables and things like that. It's old school, putting on the best show you can and, slowing it down, characters, getting the people interested, getting the people to want to, they can't miss the match that you're going to put on, or they can't miss the, rivalry or whatever it may be. That's an old school mentality that needs to come back strong rather than putting on a 5-star banger every time. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can have a 5-star banger with good psychology. It's just, I always say different tastes, and there's nothing wrong with if, you're into the more of the AEW style and all that. I just look at it personally about it should be about drawing money and being as safe as you can be. And to me, drawing money and being as safe as you can be, it's always going to come back to psychology. It's always going to come back to not that you punch the guy 50 times. Maybe you punch the guy 10 times, but you made every punch count. And you made
86 chops.
Yes. I mean, it's that and making the fans believe in you.
Yeah. David says yes, yearly. We need Hillbilly yearly. He's one of my favorites.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
David's a huge wrestling fan up here.
Yes.
Mostly SWO, but he also keeps track of the local feds in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. He watches what he can on YouTube. A lot of the feds have YouTube channels like SWA does now. Yeah. And again, I want to reiterate that for those who just joined us right now, that Hillbilly had mentioned earlier that SWA Promotions is a YouTube channel. You could check him out. You could check out some of his recent matches. You could also check out some of his older matches too, and see how big this dude really is. Right? You can't appreciate Hillbilly Joe until you've seen him in the ring, and Keith and I have seen him on Fight TV in the past. But Hillbilly Joe's available right now on YouTube on SWA Promotions, and it's you got to check him out, man. He's a wonder to behold, and the brand new SWA Deep South champion as of yesterday.
Yes, indeed.
That's a beautiful title, by the way. I don't know who designed it down there. But
there's a couple of young guys that wrestles with us that came up with the design and all, and they did a really, really good job on it.
They really did.
See, before we had the Deep South belt, we had a junior heavyweight championship belt.
Okay.
And we didn't really have a lot of junior weight guys no more. So they replaced it with the Deep South title. So that gives everybody a chance. Anybody can go after it, no matter if you're junior weight or if you're heavyweight or what. You can go right after it. But yeah, it's. I mean, I know y'all see it, but it's really beautiful in person. It's a great
Yeah,
belt.
it
I
looks
think
great.
beginning of the year, I think back in August, September is when they brung it in. So it's still a fairly new belt,
Mm.
and current at the time, the current junior weight heavyweight champion was Nick Wonder, and they took the junior weight away from it and gave him the belt here, and then I guess a couple of months later, Pharaoh Funk end up beating him to get the belt. Then I beat Pharaoh last night.
Fabulous. So yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming he's gonna want a rematch, maybe or no, maybe he doesn't want no more of the hillbilly.
I don't know if he wants any more of Hillbilly.
Yeah. Might just let that rematch clause go uninvoked.
I don't know if he wants a rematch. I'll give him another one if he wants another country butt whooping. I'll give it to him.
My goodness. I love it. All right, man. But yeah. So it was a successful night. I mean, you said there was 700 in there
Yes.
last night.
Yeah, it's great.
That's a hell of a night. That's great, and for a good cause too, right?
Yes. It went the money for the football program for that school. They raised money for that. I mean, it was just an awesome night. I mean, had three. One of the inductees was Steve Starr. If it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a SWA down here. We
How about
wouldn't be
that?
an SWA. He first started it. Then he got out of it. Then we inducted him, and then we had another guy. His name was Blade Boudreaux, and I mean, he's been in the business for 20 plus years. He wrestled big time in Memphis and everywhere, all over the place. And he wrestled with us for a long time, and they inducted him into the Hall of Fame, and then they inducted Mountain Man. He was from Alabama. He had it, he owned his own promotion. He wrestled with us a bunch of times. I didn't get the chance to get in the ring with him or anything like that, but I have been in the locker rooms with him, and we have talked and everything else. I mean, he was a great guy. I mean, he was a big guy too. He was a big guy like me.
Was he
But
as big?
yes,
Really?
he had a little bit more weight on him than I do, but he was about the same height as me. He actually was in WCW as Richard Bailey.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow. Okay.
if you get time or whatever, and you want to just look up Richard Bailey in WCW, you'll see how big he was. But yeah, he was inducted until a couple of years ago. He passed away a couple of years ago. But I mean, he was a great guy. I mean, all three of them that got inducted into the Hall of Fame last night, they was great guys. I mean, Steve Starrs, who got me started, and I mean, he was a great guy. All three of them is well deserved to be put in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully, one day I'll get put in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I love it when independent feds have their own Hall of Fame because it gives special recognition to those who paved the way for that independent fed, right? I mean, some feds don't last that long, but when they've lasted 10 years, 15, 20 years or more, then you start going back and thinking, well, who got this thing all started? And then you can start kind of, making that judgment for yourself. I'm sure. I mean, the one we were talking about before, the 3WA has been around for 43 years. If they had a Hall of Fame, my goodness, I mean, there'd be a host of people that, would definitely be inducted into it. But I tell you, I know SWO has a Hall of Fame in which, they even have a fan section where they have the most diehard fans that have been around from the beginning have been inducted. And to my knowledge, there's been two. One guy commented earlier on this show, this guy right here that said Hillbilly was my favorites. His name is David Motorman. He is in the fan wing of the SWO Hall of Fame. And Jeff, the late great Jeff Becker, is also in the SWO Hall of Fame. He was a fan that sat in the front row at every SWO show for 20 years plus, and we all dearly miss him. But he's in the Hall of Fame as well. But they also have some wrestlers in there too. I know there was a guy by the name of Suicide Myers is in there, and Vicious Van Valley is in there. So I love it when they have that, because there is an independent wrestling Hall of Fame out there somewhere. But the problem with that is that it's really hard to keep track of all of them, especially when so many spring up over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Keith and I have often talked about the WWE Hall of Fame is just that kind of thing. To me, it's another event for them to sell tickets, but it's also like, it does mean something to them, because it's kind of, for them, it's like their Oscar night where they get recognized for the contributions they made to the business. It meant a lot to a lot of them. Most of them, it meant a lot to. The Undertaker. Everybody's going to remember the Undertaker speech. I mean,
yes.
he had people laughing, and he had people in tears in the same. I think he talked for like 20 minutes to a half hour. It was crazy how long.
And I guarantee you, his One Dead Man show is very much inspired by that. I'm sure he tried out a lot of material in that speech. I haven't gotten a chance to go out and see it yet, but I would not be shocked if I see some of the same material crop up, because it seemed pretty obvious to me when he was doing it that I'm like, he's trying out the next phase here, which is great. Nothing wrong with that.
And this year Paul Heyman's speech was pretty good too. I enjoyed it. There's always one. I mean, not necessarily every year, but there's always one that sticks out either every year, every other year that you're like, wow, that was something, and you could tell it meant a lot to Paul Heyman too for the recognition he got for his contributions to the business.
Right.
Obviously controversial figure to some, and some people don't like him, but you can't deny that he made a huge thumbprint in professional wrestling, whether it be WCW, ECW, or WWE.
Now, as far as
evil genius, but he's a genius.
Yes. Now, I like Paul Heyman. I mean, he's great at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a brilliant, smart, in this business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my favorite heel manager is Bobby Heenan.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
He's my favorite, and everybody has their favorites and all this, but this is he's my favorite. But I put him up there around with Bobby Heenan and all some of the great, I mean, for this era, today's managers in wrestling, Paul Heyman's got to be the top guy.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's keeping the art alive.
Yes,
right. It's a lost art, and I mean, back in the day, back in Bobby Heenan's day, there was about 10 or 15 managers that he was. They were all different personalities. They were all different kinds of, and some were very fun. Some were very entertaining. I always loved Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. My all-time favorite was Bobby Heenan as well, but Jimmy Hart is a close second to that.
Oh yeah,
Jimmy was so good at pissing off the crowd, making his guys look and sound better. He had the megaphone. He was annoying the fans constantly.
And his Memphis stuff. WWE only scratched the surface of what Jimmy Hart could do. Jimmy Hart in Memphis with the army of guys. When you needed a heel for Lawler, you always put him with Jimmy, and Jimmy got him over in, probably about 2 minutes. Just because they were with Jimmy Hart and Jimmy Hart started talking, you were like, I want Lawler to kill that son of a bitch. And hopefully he'll finally end Jimmy Hart while he's at it.
Yeah.
Oh man, he got such great heat all the time, but Jimmy was great. But I had the privilege of meeting him at the Legends of Hamburg Fan Fest a couple years ago.
Doesn't age.
He looks exact. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He looks the same like he did in the 80s as he does now.
Yeah, he's a vampire or something. He has to. That's the only explanation.
All right, Hillbilly, we're running out of time, but is there anything that we have not talked about that you would like to talk about or promote?
All right. Now, I do have merchandise if anybody's interested. I got a few right here. I got a magnets here, me holding a chicken. I do have Hillbilly University hats.
Nice.
I do have the Dean hats. My my newest shirt I got. It's only been out maybe a couple of shows, and this is Hillbilly Joe.
Oh, there you go.
I do have that. I got a few pictures left. They're still packed away from last night. I didn't take everything. I just so happen to have some of these laying around. I'm actually in my wife's office where she makes all this stuff at. I mean, she's set up everywhere. There's
Got
the printer to print everything.
Yep.
And all. Her laptops just happen to be out of here right now.
So where can they get this merchandise?
You can. I don't have a website anymore. The website kept messing up and giving me issues, so I did away with it. You can message me directly on Facebook, Hillbilly Joe, on Facebook. You can message me directly to there, and then we'll give you all the rundowns and everything. I do have I got that design that I showed, and I got a couple of older shirts that I still have left. I can send you pictures of it. Anything like that. Like I said, I got magnets. I still got a few bracelets left. Once I run out of these bracelets, I'm not doing bracelets anymore. And the bracelets been more of a pain than anything. Trying to sell these bracelets, I couldn't even give them away for some odd reason. These bracelets didn't sell like I thought they would, and so my wife says, "You're not in charge of this anymore."
Well, I'll tell you what, you sold at least one T-shirt here today, because I know Big Dave, he collects these T-shirts, and so he'll be getting in touch with you on Facebook about getting himself a Hillbilly Joe T-shirt. I guarantee.
Yes, sir.
I will sign it for you and I'll send it out to you. I do my own shipping from the house, and I'll print the label out once you buy and all that. I got Cash App, I got PayPal, and once I receive the money, I'll print the label out and I'll send you the tracking number right then.
Damn.
And then I'll have either me, my wife, or one of my kids. Sometimes my father-in-law will run and drop it off at the post office for me. And then it will be shipped out. You'll have tracking and everything. So that way you ain't got to worry about, hey, he's, gypping me or something like that. No, I'm 100%. You buy it, it's coming to you.
Love it. All right. Well, Professor, this Tuesday we got a new episode of Around the Turnbuckle coming up. On Tuesday at 7:00, we're going to be talking some Sky Blue. We're going to be talking some Vince McMahon. We're going to be talking some Kenny Omega. And the injury list keeps growing as far as AEW and WWE goes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So this Tuesday, tune in to the Professor and I and talk some wrestling. Every Sunday we interview a great independent star like Hillbilly Joe. But on Tuesdays now, we started last week, or the week before rather, we're going to start doing a topic show where we talk about everything that's going on in the world of professional wrestling on TV, as far as WWE goes, AEW, and any other breaking news that happens. So come on and talk some wrestling with us. Offer up your comments. Offer up your questions. Offer up a topic that you want us to talk about. We will talk about it right there on the air, and definitely would want you to be part of the show. Also, if you want to be on this show and talk wrestling with us, just like Hillbilly Joe is right here, if you want to talk to us and you have the capabilities, a good laptop, a good iPhone, or a good Samsung Galaxy perhaps, let me know. We can arrange that as well and have you on here and debate. I would love to watch the Professor debate with somebody like a Bucciaroni or somebody like that, right, Professor? That'd be something to be fun.
I think he'll just agree with me most of the time.
Well, then I'll debate him then.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But anyway, That's on Tuesday at 7. Then next Sunday on this channel at this same time right here, we have, are you ready for it? Marvelous Malcolm King.
Finally.
The biggest man in Pennsylvania wrestling, Hillbilly Joe. This man is a monster. A monster. 350 pounds, 6'3". He is a monster. We've been trying to get him for years. He's finally here. He owns a promotion called Seven Mountains Wrestling, but he also makes the scene all over Pennsylvania. That name has been synonymous with Pennsylvania wrestling for the past 10 years. Marvelous Malcolm King will be right here on Around the Turnbuckle at 6 o'clock. Really excited about that. In the meantime, Hillbilly Joe, don't go anywhere when we go off the air, brother.
All right.
For the professor and the SWA Deep South champion, Hillbilly Joe, I'm Big Al. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you next time.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah. If you smell.
Calculations are correct. When this baby